In the vast expanse of the universe, humans were nothing but a joke. Every alien race that knew about Earth and its inhabitants couldn't help but laugh. Humans, with their primitive technology and limited understanding of the cosmos, were the galaxy's favorite source of entertainment. The Zorgans, a race of highly advanced beings from the Andromeda galaxy, would often gather around their holoscreens to watch human TV. It wasn't actual human television, but rather a reality show that captured the daily lives of unsuspecting Earthlings. The Zorgans found it hilarious how humans struggled with simple tasks like finding their car keys or trying to open a jar of pickles. "Look at them," a Zorgan would say, pointing at the screen with one of its tentacles. "They still think they're alone in the universe." This statement would always be followed by a chorus of gurgling laughter. The Blurbans, a gaseous species from the Crab Nebula, had a different form of entertainment. They would send encrypted messages to Earth scientists, watching with glee as the humans tried to decipher what they thought were alien communications. In reality, these messages were nothing more than Blurban cooking recipes or shopping lists. "They've been working on that pancake recipe for 50 years now," a Blurban elder once remarked, its gas clouds rippling with amusement. "Should we tell them it's just a list of ingredients?" "Absolutely not," another Blurban replied. "This is too much fun." Even the Quan, a race of silicon-based life forms known for their stoic nature, couldn't resist a chuckle at humanity's expense. They had a betting pool on how long it would take humans to discover faster-than-light travel. The current estimate was somewhere around 10,000 Earth years. "I got 5,000 Quarzites on them blowing themselves up before they even reached their own moon," a young Quan said, its crystalline structure vibrating with excitement. The mockery wasn't limited to distant alien races. Even Earth's closest galactic neighbors joined in on the fun. The Martians, who had long ago mastered the art of interdimensional travel, would often visit Earth invisibly. They loved to play pranks on humans, creating crop circles, moving objects when no one was looking, or making strange sounds in the night. "Did you see that human's face when I moved his coffee cup?" a Martian prankster asked its friend. "He thought he was going crazy." "Classic," the friend replied, its antennae twitching with laughter. The situation was so bad that Earth had become a popular tourist destination for alien teenagers looking for a good laugh. They would disguise themselves as humans and walk among the Earthlings, purposely using their advanced technology in plain sight just to see the confused reactions. One alien teen, disguised as a human boy, once accidentally dropped his quantum communicator in a busy New York street. He watched with glee as humans walked past it, some even kicking it aside, completely unaware of the device's ability to communicate across galaxies instantly. "Hey Zix," the alien teen called to his friend. "I bet you 50 Glarks that no human will even pick it up." "You're on, Blorp," Zix replied, adjusting his human mask. The galactic community's attitude towards humans wasn't just about finding them funny. There was also a sense of superiority, a belief that humans were so far behind that they would never catch up. Intergalactic conferences often had a segment dedicated to Human Watch, where various species would present their latest observations of Earth. And in conclusion, a tentacled presenter said at one such conference, "Humans are still trying to understand their own brains. They haven't even begun to grasp the concept of multidimensional thought." The audience roared with laughter, some species having to engage their secondary breathing apparatus to avoid passing out from mirth. Little did the galactic community know that their laughter was about to be silenced. In a small, unassuming lab on Earth, Dr. Amelia Zhao was about to change everything. But for now, as she worked tirelessly on her theories of seven-dimensional physics, the rest of the universe continued to laugh. As the Earth rotated on its axis, oblivious to the mockery it faced, billions of alien beings went to sleep, or their species' equivalent of sleep, with smiles on their faces, or whatever passed for faces in their biology. They all shared one common thought: those silly humans, they'll never amount to anything in this big, complex universe. how wrong they were about to be. Dr. Amelia Zhao was not your typical scientist. With her wild, unkempt hair that seemed to defy gravity and her mismatched socks, one always striped, the other always polka-dotted, she stood out in the pristine halls of the International Space Research Center, ISRC. At 35, Amelia was already famous, or rather, infamous, in the scientific community. Her theories on seven-dimensional physics were considered so outlandish that most of her peers thought she was either a genius or completely mad. Most leaned towards the latter. "There goes crazy Zhao again," whispered Dr. Johnson to his colleague as Amelia rushed past them, her arms full of papers covered in complex equations, still chasing her impossible dreams. But Amelia didn't care what others thought. She knew she was onto something big. Every night, she would work late in her lab, surrounded by whiteboards filled with calculations that looked like alien hieroglyphs to anyone else. One evening, as she was deep in thought, her assistant, Tom, knocked on the door. "Dr. Zhao, it's past midnight. Don't you think you should go home?" Amelia looked up, her eyes wide with excitement. "Home? Tom, we're on the verge of a breakthrough. Sleep is for those who aren't about to change the universe." Tom sighed. He had heard this before. "Dr. Zhao, with all due respect, you've been saying that for months now. Maybe it's time to, I don't know, take a break." Amelia stood up so quickly that her chair fell backwards. "A break? Tom, do you realize what we're dealing with here? We're not just talking about space travel. We're talking about dimension travel. Imagine being able to move not just through space, but through different layers of reality." She grabbed a marker and started drawing on the nearest whiteboard. "See, our universe isn't just three-dimensional. It's not even four-dimensional if you count time. There are at least 7 dimensions out there, maybe more. And if we can figure out how to navigate them, we could revolutionize everything we know about physics, about the universe, about our very existence." Tom nodded politely, even though he understood less than half of what she was saying. He had learned it was easier to just let Dr. Zhao talk when she got like this. Amelia continued, her voice rising with excitement. "Imagine being able to travel to any point in the universe instantly. Imagine being able to see all possible outcomes of an event simultaneously. Imagine being able to step outside of time itself." She paused, catching her breath. "That's what we're working towards, Tom. That's why I can't stop. That's why I can't take a break. Because every moment we waste is a moment the rest of humanity remains trapped in their limited perception of reality." Tom couldn't help but be moved by her passion. "I understand, Dr. Zhao, but even brilliant scientists need sleep. Why don't you go home and come back fresh in the morning? Your 7 dimensions will still be here waiting for you." Amelia sighed, finally relenting. "I suppose you're right, Tom, but promise me you'll call me immediately if any of the simulations show positive results." As Amelia packed up her things, she glanced at a photo on her desk. It showed a young Amelia with her parents, all of them smiling in front of a telescope. She picked up the photo, a sad smile on her face. "I'll prove them all wrong, Mom and Dad," she whispered. "I'll show them that your little girl wasn't just dreaming. I'll make you proud." The next morning, Amelia was back in her lab before sunrise, her mind racing with new ideas. She didn't know it yet, but she was about to stumble upon the breakthrough that would change everything. As she worked, inputting new variables into her simulation, she had no idea that billions of alien beings across the galaxy were still laughing at humanity's primitive attempts to understand the universe. She had no clue that her work was about to wipe those smug smiles off their faces, or whatever passed for faces in their biology. All Amelia knew was that she was close. So very close, and she wouldn't stop until she cracked the code of the universe itself. Little did the galaxy know, the joke was about to be on them. And Dr. Amelia Zhao, the eccentric scientist that nobody took seriously, was about to have the last laugh. The day of Dr. Amelia Zhao's breakthrough began like any other. She arrived at her lab early, her hair even messier than usual, a clear sign she had been up all night working on her calculations. As she turned on her computer, she noticed something odd in the simulation results from the night before. At first, she thought it was a glitch, but as she looked closer, her eyes widened. "This can't be right," she muttered, frantically typing on her keyboard. But if it is? Hours passed. Amelia didn't even notice when Tom came in, placing a cup of coffee on her desk. She was too absorbed in her work, running simulation after simulation. Finally, as the sun was setting, Amelia let out a triumphant yell that echoed through the entire research center. "I've done it. I've actually done it." Tom rushed into the lab. "Dr. Zhao, what's happened?" Amelia turned to him, her eyes shining with excitement. "Tom, we've just changed the course of human history. I found a way to access the seventh dimension." She quickly explained her discovery. Through a complex combination of quantum entanglement and what she called dimensional folding, Amelia had theoretically found a way to create a vessel that could travel not just through space, but through different dimensions. "This isn't just about going from point A to point B," she explained. "This is about moving through layers of reality itself. We could potentially visit alternate universes, see all possible outcomes of events, even step outside of time." Tom listened, his mouth hanging open in awe. "Dr. Zhao, this is incredible. We need to tell everyone." Amelia nodded eagerly. "Yes, we need to call a meeting with the board immediately. This changes everything." But their excitement was short-lived. When Amelia presented her findings to the board of directors at the International Space Research Center, she was met with skepticism and disbelief. "Dr. Zhao," said Dr. Thompson, the head of the board, his voice dripping with condescension, "while we appreciate your enthusiasm, what you're proposing is simply impossible." "But the math checks out," Amelia insisted, pointing to her equations. "If we could just allocate some resources to build a prototype." "Resources?" interrupted another board member. "You want us to spend millions on what is essentially science fiction." The meeting went downhill from there. Despite Amelia's passionate arguments and detailed explanations, the board dismissed her breakthrough as the ramblings of an overworked and possibly delusional scientist. "I'm sorry, Dr. Zhao," Dr. Thompson said as the meeting concluded, "but we cannot support this project. It's simply too far-fetched." Amelia left the meeting room, her shoulders slumped in defeat. As she walked back to her lab, she overheard whispers from her colleagues. "Poor Zhao, she's finally lost it. Seventh dimension. What's next? Time travel. I always knew she was a bit crazy, but this." Back in her lab, Amelia found Tom waiting for her. "How did it go?" he asked, though he could guess from her expression. "They didn't believe me," Amelia said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They think I'm crazy." Tom put a comforting hand on her shoulder. "I believe you, Dr. Zhao, and I'm sure others will too, once they see the evidence." Amelia looked up, a determined glint in her eye. "You're right, Tom. We don't need their approval. We'll do this ourselves." "Ourselves?" Tom asked, surprised. "But how? We don't have the resources." Amelia smiled, her old excitement returning. "We'll find a way. I'll reach out to my old colleagues, call in some favors. We'll put together a team of the brightest minds who are willing to think outside the box." She stood up, pacing the lab as she spoke. "It won't be easy. We'll have to work in secret, probably nights and weekends. But if we succeed, we'll change the course of human history." Tom nodded, caught up in her enthusiasm. "I'm with you, Dr. Zhao. Where do we start?" Amelia grinned, already pulling out her phone. "First, we need to assemble our team. I know just the people to call." As Amelia began making calls, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The board's rejection had only strengthened her resolve. She knew she was right, and she was going to prove it to the world. Little did she know, her secret project was about to catch the attention of some very interested parties, both on Earth and beyond. The galaxy's laughter was about to turn into very nervous chuckles. In the weeks that followed, Dr. Amelia Zhao's lab transformed into a secret hub of revolutionary science. The team she assembled was small but brilliant. Dr. Raj Patel, a quantum physicist with a rebellious streak. Dr. Sarah Chen, a materials engineer who loved a good challenge. And Marcus Jones, a young programming prodigy who dropped out of MIT because he found it too boring. Together with Tom, they formed a tight-knit group united by their belief in Amelia's vision. They called themselves the Dimension Breakers, a name that made them all chuckle but also filled them with pride. Their work was not easy. They had to operate in secret, working nights and weekends to avoid suspicion. The lab became their second home, filled with whiteboards covered in complex equations, computer screens displaying mind-bending simulations, and half-empty coffee cups. "Okay, team," Amelia said one night, clapping her hands to get everyone's attention. "We've made great progress on the theoretical framework. Now, it's time to start building our prototype." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "With what materials? We can't exactly order seventh-dimensional alloys from the supply catalog." Amelia grinned. "That's where your expertise comes in, Sarah. We need to create materials that can withstand the stress of dimensional travel. Think outside the box. Way outside." As Sarah and Raj dove into discussions about exotic materials, Marcus approached Amelia with a concerned look. "Dr. Zhao, I've been monitoring our digital footprint as you asked. I think someone might be onto us." Amelia's smile faded. "What do you mean?" Marcus lowered his voice. "There have been some unusual access attempts to our secure server. Nothing's been breached, but it's clear someone's curious about what we're up to." Amelia nodded gravely. "Keep a close eye on it, Marcus. We can't let anyone find out about this project until we're ready." As the weeks turned into months, the team's progress was remarkable. Sarah and Raj had developed a new alloy that could theoretically withstand the stresses of interdimensional travel. Marcus had written an AI program to help navigate the complex mathematics of seven-dimensional space, and Amelia had refined her original theories, ironing out the kinks that had made her initial proposal seem so impossible to the board. But their work didn't go unnoticed. Strange things began to happen around the lab. Equipment would be moved overnight, even though no one had been there. Security cameras would glitch at odd hours. And once, Tom swore he saw a shimmer in the air, like a heat haze, but inside the air-conditioned lab. "Do you think we're being watched?" Tom asked Amelia one day, his voice barely above a whisper. Amelia looked around the lab, her eyes narrowing. "Possibly. But by whom? The board? The government? Or someone else?" The possibility that they might be under surveillance only made the team work harder. They were close, so close to a breakthrough that could change everything. Finally, after months of tireless work, they had done it. In the center of the lab stood their prototype, a sleek, pod-like vessel that hummed with energy. It didn't look like much from the outside, but inside, it housed technology that was centuries ahead of its time. "Ladies and gentlemen," Amelia said, her voice trembling with excitement, "I present to you the DB Voyager, the world's first seven-dimensional vessel." The team gathered around the Voyager, their faces a mix of awe and disbelief. They had done the impossible. "So," Raj said, breaking the silence, "who's going to test it?" Before Amelia could respond, an alarm blared from Marcus's computer. "We've been breached," he yelled, his fingers flying over the keyboard. "Someone's hacking into our systems." Suddenly, the lights in the lab flickered. The air seemed to ripple, and for a moment, everyone felt a strange sensation, as if reality itself was bending. When everything settled, they all stared in shock. Standing in the middle of the lab was a figure that was definitely not human. It had iridescent skin, multiple limbs, and eyes that seemed to see in all directions at once. The alien, for that's what it clearly was, spoke, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears. "Greetings, humans. We've been watching your progress with great interest. Perhaps it's time we had a chat about the true nature of the universe. As the team stood frozen in shock, Amelia stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "Who are you?" she asked. The alien's eyes all focused on her. "We are the guardians of the dimensions. And you, Dr. Zhao, have just changed the game for all of humanity." The secret was out. The project was no longer just about science. It had become a first contact scenario that would change the course of human history forever. The lab fell into stunned silence as the team stared at the alien being before them. Dr. Amelia Zhao, always the scientist, was the first to regain her composure. "Guardians of the dimensions," she asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and awe. "What does that mean?" The alien's iridescent skin shimmered as it spoke. "We monitor the boundaries between dimensions, ensuring the cosmic balance. Your work has attracted our attention." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the building. "Security breach in Sector 7. A robotic voice announced. "All personnel evacuate immediately." Marcus looked up from his computer. "They're coming for us. The government must have found out." Dr. Zhao made a split-second decision. "Everyone, into the Voyager. Now." The team hesitated for a moment, but the sound of heavy footsteps in the corridor spurred them into action. They scrambled into the pod-like vessel, squeezing in alongside their equipment. "Wait," Amelia called to the alien. "Will you come with us?" The being seemed to shimmer. "We will find you. Go now and discover what you have unleashed." With that, the alien vanished, leaving behind only a faint sparkle in the air. Amelia jumped into the Voyager, sealing the hatch behind her just as armed personnel burst into the lab. She looked at her team, their faces a mix of fear and excitement. "Hold onto something," she said, her fingers flying over the control panel. "This might get a bit weird." She activated the Voyager, and the world around them began to blur. The shouts of the security team faded away, replaced by a strange, high-pitched hum. Colors swirled around the vessel, twisting and morphing in ways that hurt the eyes. Inside the Voyager, the team felt a sensation unlike anything they had ever experienced. It was as if their bodies were being stretched and compressed simultaneously. Tom let out a yelp of surprise, while Sarah gripped her seat so hard her knuckles turned white. "What's happening?" Raj shouted over the noise. Amelia's eyes were glued to the instruments. "We're passing through dimensional barriers. Each layer of reality we pass through is causing space-time to fluctuate around us." The journey seemed to last both an eternity and no time at all. Suddenly, everything stopped. The swirling colors outside the vessel settled into a scene that took their breath away. They were floating in space, but not the space they knew. The stars were wrong. Too close, too bright, too alive. Streams of energy flowed between celestial bodies like cosmic rivers. In the distance, they could see what looked like the edge of reality itself, a shimmering boundary beyond which lay something else. "My God," Sarah whispered. "Where are we?" Amelia checked the instruments, her hands shaking slightly. "According to these readings, we're in the 7th dimension. We did it. We actually did it." The team erupted in cheers, the tension of their escape giving way to the euphoria of success. They had broken through the boundaries of known physics, achieving what the scientific community had deemed impossible. As they marveled at the alien landscape around them, Marcus noticed something on one of the screens. Guys, you might want to see this." He pulled up a view of what appeared to be Earth, but not as they had ever seen it. From this higher dimension, they could see not just the planet as it was, but as it could be, countless possible Earths, each representing a different choice, a different path of history. "Incredible," Raj breathed. "We're seeing all possible timelines simultaneously." Amelia nodded, her mind racing with the implications. "This is why the 7th dimension is so powerful. From here, we can potentially influence not just where we are in space, but which reality we inhabit." As they watched, they noticed movement among the possible Earths. Strange vessels, unlike anything humans had built, were traveling between realities. "Those must be the Guardians," Tom said. "They're maintaining the balance between dimensions, just like they said." Suddenly, an alert flashed on the control panel. "Energy surge detected," the computer announced. "Unknown entity approaching." Before they could react, a beam of pure energy appeared before their vessel. Unlike the alien in the lab, this creature seemed to be made of living light, constantly shifting and changing. "Welcome, Voyagers," the beam's voice echoed in their minds. "You have taken your first step into a larger universe. But be warned, with great power comes great responsibility and great danger." As the energy being spoke, the team realized that their maiden voyage was just the beginning. They had unlocked the secrets of the universe, but in doing so, they had also exposed humanity to forces beyond their comprehension. The real journey, it seemed, was only just beginning. As the energy beam's warning echoed in their minds, Dr. Amelia Zhao and her team exchanged nervous glances. They were pioneers in uncharted territory, and the weight of their responsibility was beginning to sink in. "We should return to Earth," Amelia said, her voice steadied despite her racing heart. "We need to report what we've discovered." With a few adjustments to the controls, the Voyager began its journey back through the dimensions. The return trip was smoother, as if the universe had become accustomed to their presence. When they emerged in their own dimension, however, they were met with a sight that left them speechless. The lab was gone, replaced by a massive crater. Above it hovered several spacecraft of clearly alien design. "Oh no," Tom whispered. "What happened while we were gone?" Before anyone could respond, the Voyager was enveloped in a beam of light. They felt a gentle tug as the ship was pulled towards one of the alien crafts. Inside the alien ship, they were greeted by a diverse group of beings. Some looked almost human, while others were so bizarre that the team's minds struggled to comprehend their forms. A tall, elegant being with silver skin stepped forward. "Welcome back, humans. I am Zar-El, representative of the Galactic Council. Your excursion has caused quite a stir." Amelia straightened her back, trying to project confidence. "We apologize for any disturbance. We're scientists, explorers. We meant no harm." Zar-El's expression was unreadable. "Intent is irrelevant. The fact remains that your species, which we believe to be centuries away from interstellar travel, has not only achieved it, but has also breached dimensional barriers. The balance of power in the galaxy has shifted overnight." The team listened in growing amazement as Zar-El explained the situation. Their activation of the Voyager had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The energy signature of their dimensional jump had been detected by every advanced civilization in the Milky Way. "For centuries, we've watched Earth," another alien chimed in. "This one looked like a floating cloud of gas. You were our favorite entertainment. Your struggles, your little wars, your quaint attempts at space exploration. We laughed at your primitive ways. But now," Zar-El continued, "the laughter has stopped. In one leap, you've gone from being a galactic joke to a potential superpower." The implications were staggering. Humanity, long considered a backwater species, had suddenly become a force to be reckoned with. "What happens now?" Raj asked, his scientific curiosity overcoming his fear. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room, showing the Earth surrounded by hundreds of alien ships. "Now," Zar-El said, "we negotiate. Your government leaders are already in discussions with our diplomats. The terms of Earth's entry into the galactic community are being decided as we speak." The team was led to a window where they could see the Earth below. News of the alien presence had spread, and they could see lights flickering across the night side of the planet as millions of people took to the streets. "Your world will never be the same," Zar-El said. "The age of Earth's isolation is over." As they watched, more ships appeared in orbit. Some were clearly military vessels, their designs sleek and threatening. "Not all species are happy about your sudden ascension," Zar-El explained. Some fear you. Others seek to ally with you. And some may seek to destroy you before you become too powerful. Amelia felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on her. Her quest for scientific knowledge had catapulted humanity onto the galactic stage, for better or worse. "What can we do?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Zar-El turned to her, all of its eyes focusing on her face. You've done enough. More than enough. Now it's up to your leaders, your diplomats, your military to navigate this new reality. But make no mistake, Dr. Zhao. You and your team have changed the course of galactic history. As if to emphasize Zar-El's point, a flash of light caught their attention. On the surface of the moon, visible even from orbit, words were being carved by some impossibly powerful energy being. Welcome to the Galactic Earth. The Joe Keys Ovir. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same again. The era of galactic laughter had ended. Now, the real challenges were about to begin. In the weeks that followed, Earth underwent a transformation unlike anything in human history. The arrival of alien civilizations and the revelation of humanity's newfound power sent shockwaves through every aspect of society. Dr. Amelia Zhao and her team found themselves at the center of a global storm. They were hailed as heroes by some, vilified as reckless endangerers of humanity by others. Governments worldwide sought their expertise, while protesters gathered outside their homes, demanding answers. One sunny morning, as Amelia stared out the window of her new, highly secured apartment, she saw a familiar shimmer in the air. The alien she had first met in her lab appeared. "You've certainly stirred things up," it said, its voice resonating in her mind. Amelia sighed. "I never meant for any of this to happen. We just wanted to explore, to understand." The alien's form rippled, an expression Amelia had learned was equivalent to a shrug. Intentions are irrelevant. Actions shape reality, and your actions have reshaped the entire galaxy. As they spoke, Amelia's TV flicked on automatically, tuned to a news channel. The headline scrolled across the bottom. "First human embassy on alien world opens today." The alien gestured towards the screen. "Your people adapt quickly. It's one of your most interesting traits." Indeed, humanity had been forced to evolve rapidly. The United Nations had been restructured into the Earth Unified Government, tasked with representing humanity on the galactic stage. Schools worldwide were incorporating Xena studies into their curricula. The global economy was grappling with the introduction of alien technologies and trade agreements. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Reports of anti-alien hate crimes were on the rise. Cults worshipping the space gods sprang up overnight, and there were whispers of a human supremacist movement, arguing that Earth should use its new dimensional travel capabilities to conquer the galaxy. "It's chaos," Amelia said, shaking her head. "It's growth," the alien corrected. "Painful, yes, but necessary. Your species is taking its first steps into a larger universe." As they watched, the TV showed scenes from around the world. In New York, a Zorgan was teaching a class on advanced physics. In Tokyo, human and alien chefs were collaborating on fusion cuisine. In Nairobi, a team of human and blurban scientists were unveiling the new clean energy technology. But there were also images of protests, of military exercises preparing for potential alien threats, of pundits debating the ethics of interspecies relationships. "The galaxy is watching," the alien said. "Many civilizations that once laughed at humanity now seek alliances. Others plot against you, fearing your potential." Amelia turned to the alien, her eyes filled with determination. "Then we'll have to prove ourselves worthy of this opportunity. We'll show the galaxy that humanity deserves its place among the stars." Just then, Amelia's phone buzzed. It was a message from the president's office. Her presence was requested at an emergency meeting of the Earth Unified Government. "Duty calls," she said, grabbing her coat. The alien nodded. Remember, Dr. Zhao, with great power comes great responsibility. The choices you and your species make in the coming years will shape the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. As Amelia headed out, she paused at the door. Will I see you again? The alien's form began to fade. We are always watching, Dr. Zhao. The guardians of the dimensions will be there when you need us most. With that, it vanished, leaving Amelia alone with the weight of her new reality. As she stepped outside, she was greeted by a world forever changed. Flying cars, clearly of alien design, zipped between skyscrapers. Holographic advertisements featured products from across the galaxy. And high above, visible even in daylight, the orbiting forms of alien ships reminded everyone of Earth's new place in the cosmic order. Amelia took a deep breath, straightened her back, and walked towards her waiting hover car. The journey that had begun in her small lab had led humanity to the stars. Now, it was up to all of them to prove that humans deserved their place in the galactic community. The laughter had stopped, but the real work was just beginning. Humanity's greatest adventure was now underway, and Amelia Zhao was ready to lead the charge into this brave new era. As her car lifted off, joining the stream of aerial traffic, Amelia allowed herself a small smile. Whatever challenges lay ahead, one thing was certain: the universe would never underestimate humanity again.